So our keynote speakers over the next couple of days are going to address some of the major issues which are affecting our dear industry. They're affecting your businesses, your well-being, and your sense of place, the sense of place of New Zealand farming and exporting in what is a very challenging time for our industry. How is our industry tracking? Well, at DINS, we have an objective of being a confident and growing industry. It's probably fair to say that we're following two paths at the moment. With velvet, yes, it is growing. People are investing in their herds. They're investing in new technology. There are new products which are being developed. Production is increasing. Yeah, it's pretty confident. The market for velvet has weathered the COVID storm well. But with venison, it's probably, it's on the recovery path. We asked one of our main importers in North America, Mark Mitchell, a close colleague of Duncan, New Zealand, just to send us a few video messages about what things are like in the USA, and particularly what things were like going through the depths of COVID last year. So we've got a very short video. Alex, take it away.
As we closed 2019 and moved into January 2020, the economy and our business were rolling along and very robust. We were bullish about having a strong 2020 and laid out aggressive plans to support our position. And then it arrived, and life changed for all. Rumblings in regard to COVID-19 started in early February, and by the third week of March, our business, as we know it, came to a near halt, and April was a low point. Right. Imagine specialty meat revenues dropping 50 to 80%. A fully staffed facility doing low essential busy work to fill a day, limited orders coming in, and proactive sales attempts falling on voicemails or out of office replies. All sales shows and marketing events went dark. The eerie sound of silence and a runaway business mind chasing what next scenarios. Coming out of the low point of April brought new challenges. The public at large was starting to hoard personal needs. Domestic meat plants were being shuttered due to outbreaks of COVID and lots of illness. The protein supply was flooded with shortages. The market was scrambling to find proteins, but the answer was not specialty meats. It was driven by the three big brothers, beef, chicken, and pork. As we headed to September, October, the economy was starting to show some improvement. We're all cautiously optimistic, and the disease was slowing down, and regional economies were slowly reopening. The Southwest markets, especially Florida, Texas, were leading the charge of the recovery. Late November, the second COVID-19 wave hit. All that was gained in business confidence fell victim and delivering disappointment to December holiday selling period. It was a very disappointing holiday selling period. Broadleaf, after remaining virus-free for 2020, had its first known COVID case in December 4th. Enhanced protection measures were put in place, and we were working to cooperate with the local health authorities to control the spread. By the end of December, 35 of the staff had tested positive or quarantined. Working on reduced staff over the outbreak period was very challenging. By January 21, we had fully contained the spread, and vaccination followed very shortly afterwards.
So it was pretty tough for our customers as their markets closed around them. You'll have to come back to the conference tomorrow to hear the good news about the recovery, which is now underway. But the recovery is underway. We know that prices aren't satisfactory at the moment, that venison producers need that certainty about improving prices, which are going to be comparable and compete with other competitive land options. We're aware that there's a pretty hard cull going on of breeding hinds. And Dairy Industry New Zealand is certainly making plans for a reduction in venison production over the next 5 years. So DINS reacted pretty quickly to the COVID issue last year with three main areas. We sought to ensure good access into China and also invested substantial amounts from reserves into market development activities for venison in China. As Ian has said, we redirected our P2P funding away from European food service towards North American retail and are supporting all of the 5 marketing companies with their individual retail promotion activities, and provided assistance where we could to support individual companies with channel development with specific customers in those markets that were still operating. But your marketing companies will certainly give you a much more detailed update on their work tomorrow. So some of you who know me would know I'm a reasonably simple man, and I have a reasonably simple approach towards getting the best returns out of our market. Producers respond to market signals, knowing that they will be rewarded for supplying goods that meet consumers' wants and needs. The most important of these being food safety, availability, and some functional purpose. And the better that producers could meet those consumer expectations, the higher the reward. But this simple model is being disrupted. Short term, it's being disrupted when we can't get our products to our markets. Now, this will resolve itself as the restaurants reopen, as demand increases, and as some of the disruptions to the shipping, which is affecting all importers and exporters at the moment, is resolved. Secondly, our markets are becoming much more fragmented as I can see it. As marketing companies seek to develop more and more of the niche opportunities which exist around the world and are providing more branded goods, a bigger range of cuts, more further processed products, so that they can put venison and velvet in front of those consumers who are going to pay the highest price for it. So with this comes added complexity, because many of those different customers are going to have slightly different requirements. And so this places a greater onus upon producers to be meeting those requirements. But thirdly, New Zealand's social expectations of land users and animal managers is changing. These expectations are being voiced through the ballot box, leading the government and regional councils to impose restrictions on how and where animals can be farmed. This is all at considerable cost to producers, who are not currently being financially rewarded for meeting these requirements via increased revenues from the market. The dairy industry has been a leader in environmental stewardship for more than 20 years and has got nothing to apologise for. So it's important that we use the new obligations being asked of our farmers as positives to tell the rest of New Zealand that we are doing a great job, and tell our customers that we are looking after our land, our water, our animals, and our people. And in that way, we will retain the support of the New Zealand public. And in order to get that support from meeting and the reward from meeting domestic requirements, we need to be doing 4 things. We need to be shaping the narrative. We need your story to be told. We need to prove the concept that we are doing the right thing. We need to be using the tools that we have available to allow that to happen, and we need to be prepared to protect our reputation and defend our practice to potential critics. Shaping the narrative means sharing stories about what we do that shows we're doing the right thing. For us, a sliver of good news from COVID is the embellishment of New Zealand society's views of farmers as essential to the economy through the COVID lockdown. More broadly, the competence that New Zealand has shown in containing COVID-19 has bolstered our international reputation as being trustworthy and competent food producers. Personally, I'm a bit sceptical about greenwashing. In other words, buying advertising space to tell the world how wonderful we are. The public is too smart for that. The most compelling voice for farming is for farmers to tell their own stories, using social media and other channels to share the daily things about your farming life that bring you joy is the most effective public relations activity we can do. And I'm just wondering, is Neil Murdoch in the room? No. Good, I can talk about him. So Neil does a great job of just posting little videos, little snippets about, fawns racing around a paddock on a sunny day in Southland and sharing that online. The team at High Peak Station do a wonderful job about telling their story about a farming family producing great food in a great environment. Our biggest weakness in the eyes of most consumers of dairy products around the world is that we are not local. Some consumers want to feel like they have a connection with the producer of their eggs, milk, meat, game. Dins and Gage's Miriam Boynes from Canterbury to tell her story about dairy farming on our German Facebook page. By providing a connection to individuals who produce their food, we can bridge some of the gap. But this comes with risks too. Be very careful about posting images or attitudes that could be misconstrued or used against the industry. So I encourage you all to use your social media profiles to post positive stories about what you like about dairy farming. I encourage you all to involve your local community in activities on your farm that will show them that you are doing the right thing. Proving the concept means following the good practices that the industry has in place for managing land, people and animals to make sure that we live up to our claims. And examples of these are having proof that we have good animal welfare, especially adherence to our good velvet removal practices. We produce premium foods, so hygiene standards are a must and need to be best in class. Staff welfare is important, including more Māori and women at a decision-making level in our industry is important for us so that we look more like the society that we live in. Biosecurity and animal traceability remain essential, and environmental plans need to be put in place to ensure that progress that you are making is being recorded. As your marketers build the brands around the world, it's essential that they know you have got their backs by being true to the values and imagery that are the basis for their brand stories. So that's a fairly long list of things that you have to do. But the good news is we've got most of the tools in place already. We already have the means of verifying your good practice so you can prove the concept. And you are using them already. Our RCS, the application of the NVSB rules, our introduction of Valtrac, NATE, and the New Zealand Farm Assurance Program are all important ways that we can demonstrate that we satisfy our society's expectations. We do need to make sure that these are all fit for purpose and that there is minimal paperwork for our farmers. We need those designing the plans to make sure they talk to each other, to share information where possible, and to avoid duplication. And lastly, we must be prepared, like all good scouts. Some people don't think that humans should use animals for commercial purposes. Some people don't even think we should keep animals. Some people don't like mud. There's not many of them, but they can be vocal. And I know somebody who's going to be out with his drone tomorrow looking for signs of mud. And whilst there aren't very many of them, they can make a big impact if they choose to attack a sector that they choose not to like. We are very proud of our practices. We are very proud of our standards. We have robust science that proves the high standards of animal welfare that we achieve. My job for you is, I've lost my job. My job for you is to make sure that we advocate on your behalf with the regulators to get them to understand what farmers do and need. And we are prepared to respond to potential criticism to ensure we maintain our freedom to operate. Your job for me is to make sure that those standards on winter grazing and velvet removal are adhered to. We have premium quality products and a fantastic story to tell. Some markets are flourishing, others are recovering. On the marketing front, we continue to have good access to some of the wealthiest consumers in the world. We have good trade networks and solid relationships and channels to market. which will stand us in good stead as the vaccine rollout continues across our main markets. Our markets are diversifying rapidly with the development of new retail and online customers for venison and velvet. The risk of market disruption is ever present. If we already have an established presence in online and retail, that will stand us in better stead should we have further disruption. You need adequate prices for your products for deer farming to be viable. There are also still gains to be made from the improvements in on-farm efficiency and productivity. DINS is committed to working with all parts of the industry to bring the current P2P program to a strong finish and design a successor program that will continue to use the likes of advanced parties to better align social expectations with on-farm productivity improvement. And those of you in environment groups and advanced parties, and by being here today, know that the strong bonds that the deer industry enjoys, and we commit to continuing to support those industry networks so that we can maintain this cohesion and that makes the deer sector special and helps work through the challenges before us. As we achieve these and you continue to meet your customers' needs and society's expectations, we will continue to be a confident and growing deer industry. Thank you very much.